Board on computer. All right, what's up, everybody? Well, we tried to get this thing off the ground last week, but Brendon had some personal issues that we don't need to talk about or go into, but we got him on here now. It's Brendon Sodoma with Sodoma Farms out in New York. And we're going to talk about some big whitetail today, and we're going to talk about farm life. So Brendon, go ahead and kick us off and tell us a little bit about the day. You know, who are you about? What's Brendon about?
First, we got to cheers then to our first one. So
Cheers, man. Looking forward to getting out there, man.
what is it? Three and a half more weeks and you'll be here? 3 weeks?
Yeah. We're about 3.5. Yeah.
I think honestly the rut's going to be kicking off right when you get here. It's been pretty cool.
I hope
We'll
so.
see. You're moving like crazy now, so we'll see what happens. Just never know. Never know up here. It's bipolar. It's all last 2 weeks. It's been in the 40s in the morning and 50s, 60s midday, and now it's all of a sudden it's going to be 80s this weekend and opening day. Bow season's on Sunday, so of course, bad weather.
So you're going to be probably sitting in a stand trying to now make sure you save a couple of those that are running around there. I don't try to shoot them all Sunday morning. Save a couple for when we get down there. You know, I know you're chomping at the bit and all, but you got to let a couple of them get by.
All summer you get ones that you want to watch and you see, and I have a lot of pass with a lot of the deers on the farm, and I normally target one deer, and I'm always dead set on that deer and know what I want. And this year I have not a clue what I want to do, and different deer keep showing up, and it's just one of those things. It's like, oh, that one. We talk every morning, you and I, and send pictures back and forth and see things that I don't post on social media. And who knows? It's I think this is more my wife's year. Hopefully I'm gonna be able to get her on the one that she wants, and she enjoys it. Get a time, it's different now. I've done it for so many years now and been hunting for 20 years, and now it's more to the point of I like watching other people be able to get an opportunity to shoot something, or just main thing of helping them out and setting their stands and teach them to use the wind to their advantage, and just different aspects of the game and hunting. And it's more fun now to watch other people celebrate. Feels better to me. You know what I mean? I'm sure you're the same way as well, especially coming from Texas.
I mean, I definitely like being out there with people. I also, kind of like bringing new people in too sometimes, like sometimes getting people into hunting and just seeing their growth into it and stuff like that's always cool. And I'm always just as happy when my buddies get something as I am me.
That's the best.
Yeah, and most of my buddies, like if I'm hunting, they're hunting. They may be at work or they may be at home, but they're getting text messages, and most of the time they're texting me like, "What's going on? What are you seeing?"
Yeah. So hopefully you're part of the tradition. You get to do a shotgun off the G2. You hang the deer up right in front of the big red barn, and we smack the shotgun right off the G2 and slam her down.
For sure. And then so tell us a little bit about the infamous big red barn it's kind of became a little bit famous in a way, right?
Oh yeah, kind of it's a love-hate thing. Obviously everyone says what they want to say, and if it's not them doing it, obviously they must be doing something wrong every year. How are all these people associated with me, at least, are shooting huge bucks in New York State, and it's not possible. They must be poaching or spotlighting. There's just no one can ever just be positive anymore. It's always a hate, oh, they're doing something wrong, they're cheating. And it's not like that at all. Anyone and everybody that's in front of that barn has an impact on my life, and I've either helped them set up their stuff, or they're hunting with me, or they learn from me, or I've learned from them. And it's just a thing that we post on the New York State page, and guys are shooting, averaging 160s plus in New York State, and then you get that rare deer that's 180 plus, and then you get another one, and then you're like 190s. You're like, holy smokes, what are these guys doing? And of course, that's
kind of some of that's jealousy. Let's be real. Like, I mean, as hunters, like sometimes. As hunters, the vast majority of us, it's a brotherhood. Like, most of your average hunters want to support each other. We want to support hunting. We want to support gun laws. We want to support all the things that allow us to do what we do and get outdoors and hunt. And for most of us, you know, most people don't understand it's not about the killing of an animal. It's about the experience of getting in the outdoors, watching an animal, trying to learn the habits of that animal. Cause it ain't as easy as just go out there and shoot it, especially archery. And then, I mean, so you can't rifle hunt there, right? It's shotgun or bow only, correct?
Or yeah, it's shotgun and bow only just in this county. And you know, you can go 4 miles down the road to the south and that turns into a different county and you can hunt rifle there. But in all aspects, if you hunt them right, you don't need a rifle here.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of deer. They're just the potential's huge, like huge. And it's like I said, it's a hidden gem here. And a lot of people overlook New York because they think it's all New York City and buildings and cars and houses, and it's not at all. Where I live is everything is farmland and it's just beautiful and everything's lush, and we own a huge apple orchard. I'm fourth generation farmer now, and finally almost to that point of completely taken over for my old man. And but you know, he'll work every goddamn day until he's dead. That's just like how my grandfather was. He was the same way. He was 84 years old and worked every damn day and drove around and made sure everyone was doing what they're supposed to be doing and bitched at the people he wanted to bitch at. And my old man's the same way. He doesn't miss a damn day. So that's just how he is. And you know, and it's his busy season too.
That's that old school mentality. You know, those old timers, they came up in a different time, and life was a lot harder then. And you know, I had CJ actually told me this. He has a fella he went to church with, an older man, and he would tell CJ all the time, growing old ain't for wussies. Like it
Yeah,
just
no
ain't for
kidding.
wussies. You know what I mean? Like the things that we go through when we grow old. But I don't want to get off track. I want to go
Yeah.
into a little bit of farming there. Tell us about what all you grow there at Sodoma Farms.
So now primarily we focus on apples and a lot of fresh fruit, a lot of processing for motts. And then obviously we do our corn and soybeans, but our main focus is generally apples every day, all
Do you
day.
what's an average year produce? What do you
Couple
put out?
million pounds.
How many?
Oh, couple million pounds.
Jesus.
Just alone today, we probably shipped out 3 truckloads, 120,000 pounds just today.
And what type of apples are you growing there?
Right now we're actually picking the Cortlands and the John Max.
Okay.
So it's just all different varieties are ready at different times, and you got to pick them at a certain time and for processing and then packing and send them out. And fortunately, you know, we have buyers now that they just buy the trucks and it goes right to their pack house and their facility, and we don't have to deal with anything anymore like we used to. And we sold off our big factory and processing plant for when we did cabbage and squash and everything else a few years back. And just to get out of it was, you know, so labor intensive, and finding people to work was another big issue. And so my dad wanted to stay just strictly to, you know, where you know your income's going to be there every year. And that's definitely with apples for sure.
Okay.
So
And so what kind of manpower and equipment does it take to produce that many pounds of apples? Like how many men do you got working on the day picking?
Right now we have doing fresh fruit picking. We got about 40, 45 guys that are picking. And I got 2 guys hauling bins out all the time, plus myself, plus my father. And then you got the drivers for the tractor trailers. And it's just a cycle. It's like every day they're there at 7. The guys start picking. They bring the bins back through, unstack the bins, put the bins on the tractor trailer, and I undo the tractor trailers when they come back and read. It's just a cycle. It's nonstop until mid-November. And then after that, it's like, oh, you know, a couple weeks off, and then all the guys that want to come back, they come back and we start, you know, the trees start trimming and getting them ready for the spring. And you know, it's a lot. It's not as just people think that like, oh, you just get on a tractor and drive and everything magically grows. They have no idea what goes into it. And there's so many factors, you know, it's just crazy. And then people ask for stuff.
I was just fixing to touch on that a little bit because, you know, like you said, me and you got to now to where we talk. I mean, we're texting or talking daily several, you know, multiple times a day. And there's never a moment where you're down. So just so people understand, like as a farmer, this guy's getting up at, 3 and 4 in the morning. He's getting ready for the day. In between loading trucks with apples, picking apples, managing the guys, mowing, hey, whatever he's doing, he's checking cameras, he's trying to cut back, he's trying to get the blinds ready. So this dude's probably going from 4 in the morning till, I don't know, I would say 10 or 11 at night, but it may be more than that sometimes. And it's pretty much
Sometimes
7
it
days
is.
a week, right?
Yeah, 4:05, my alarm goes off and I get hit that 10-minute snooze, and it's like 4:15 to 4:17. I'm finally like, oh shit. Got to get up and get going. And I actually have a buddy of mine. He was just, stopped by for a minute to have a beer, and he comes by almost every morning, and we take our loop around and do our scouting before. I got to make sure the tractor trailer is ready to go and our driver gets here to do our haul off to either wherever it's going, either Mott's or Hudson River Fruit, and just depending on who's the loads for that day. And it's like a repeat cycle, and then by 7 a.m. everyone's there ready to go. And I'm texting you because I know it's, you're a couple hours behind. So I'm like, finally like, oh, it's 3 in the morning for him. I'm like, uh-oh. And then somehow you reply, I don't know. I'm like, oh, fuck, I woke him up.
No, I'm an early riser too. So, I mean, my day starts I hit the floor at 4 a.m., which is 6 a.m. your time. And then I'm usually, running around, whether I'm at work doing the daily job or I'm working on, making some woodwork products to put out, or whether I'm helping Luke with the podcast, or whether I'm trying to do my podcast, or, I'm kind of the same. It's not, doesn't compare at all to what you do every day. You definitely probably work circles around my ass. But and again, farmers are very underappreciated. Like this time in this day and age, farmers, ranchers, like they don't get the credit they deserve, because that's the backbone of America. Like as farmers, it's been that way since day one, and it seems like we forget that sometimes.
It's as simple as that, as the bumper sticker you see all the time. No farms, no food.
Right. Yeah. I think it's easy for people to disconnect themselves from that. Like. And then kind of a relation to that too is like hunting, like people that are anti-hunters that don't like, well, I can't believe you're going out there and killing them animals. And I'm like, well, if you're going to go in there and buy a steak, we're not going to have a conversation, because what I do is way more ethical than what you do, because you're just separating yourself from taking the life is all you're doing. And the way that your meat's harvest is probably way less ethical than what we do. We practice shooting our bows, we practice shooting our rifles. We're looking to make a clean, ethical kill, fast as possible. And I don't think people understand that these days. Like people kind of disconnect themselves from that.
Yeah, they definitely do. That's for sure. But everyone's got their own opinion, and sadly, I think one day coming soon, and reality is gonna really fucking hit everybody.
Yeah,
especially.
Well, I think there's an old saying. I think opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one or something. The old saying. Opinions
are,
But
I'm sitting over here trying to professionally text my wife to grab me a beer.
Oh man, no, this is
look at that, perfectly on time.
If you got to jump up and get one, you just jump up and get one.
That's all right. She's really good at
that. So I kind of want to let everybody know how this started. So we started talking, I think it's been, I don't know, it's probably been 4 months, at least 4 months since we've been chatting. But I had some arrows made by Euler's Archery. They made me some custom arrows that had a text, because I'm originally from Texas. I'm in Colorado now, hence the Texas handmade, all the Texas stuff. And I reached out to those guys and asked them if they could do me some custom Texas-based arrows, and they said, sure. I said, I just want to do like a Texas flag. I wanted to put Texas dirt nap on there, and then put, red, white, and blue fletchings on there. So they hooked me up, and I think I'd actually posted a video, and I think I had Ted Nugent Stranglehold playing in the background or something of it. And so Brendon hits me up on Instagram, and he's like, dude, those are sweet. And I said, yeah. I can't wait to put them to use. And I think his
No, I said
response
those are
was,
fucking tits. I
yeah,
looked,
yeah,
I
yeah,
looked back, I looked back at my messages. I'm like, what the fuck did I say to him? I go, those are fucking tits.
yeah. And then I said, yeah, I can't wait to put them to use. And his response was, you should come out here and put them to use or something. And I think I was like, there's no New York, there's no deer in New York. So that's where this whole thing started. He started sending me pictures, and right off the bat, I was like, holy shit, there's some big ass deer in New York. So how long have you, I mean, everything on the wall behind you there has probably been taken off the farm, right?
Oh yeah, no, I was kind of, a little behind on schedule with you, and I wanted to start hanging other mounts, and I got so many other ones I wanted to hang up, and I was kind of on a little time hack, but it's
Well,
my
definitely.
somewhat half-assed around my. These are I've all shot these right in my house, so
Okay.
right, they're across the street from my house, behind my house, right in the general area. So I got right there. That's a pair of the strippers panties from my bachelor party back in May.
This May.
A little good luck. What's that?
So this May. So did you just get married
I
this
got
May?
married in June. Yep, I got married June. So
Congratulations.
surprisingly, I got married after the bachelor party, but
Yeah. You found somebody that'll put up with your ass, is what you're trying to say, huh?
feel bad for her.
I seen some videos of her out there shooting the bow. So she's just as hardcore as you, huh?
She loves it. But she likes going by herself. I want to go with her, but I pressure her too much, and I'm not the world's greatest coach when it comes to
Yeah.
archery shooting.
Yeah, me neither. And then so also like while we're talking about archery, what's your preferred brand? What do you shoot?
Of course, I'm a big elite guy.
Okay.
My close friends, actually CEO of Elite Archery, Anthony Steele, great friend of mine. Was actually just had dinner with him and his newly fiance the other night, and they came over to the farm, and he brought her out. She came to visit, and they went and picked some apples and just had a good time. And he's always really taking care of me at Elite Archery, and met a lot of great guys from the company. And one of my other, best friends now is one of their head machine guys, and he does everything for me when it
Okay.
comes to the bow stuff. And that's Lizzie's coach on the side, because he's 10 times better than I am at it. So, but I'm
Okay.
big time elite guy, and that's
I think Aaron Snyder shoots an elite, doesn't he?
yeah, Aaron does.
Okay. I think I've seen that somewhere. Uh,
Yep.
well, that's cool. And I think we even you mentioned that to me before. I think we may even possibly tour the facility while we're down there because it's right down
Oh,
the road from
definitely. Yeah, definitely. They're about 20 minutes away from my house now. They're in Henrietta, New York.
you.
I'm
Okay.
in Brockport, obviously, so they're not too far away.
Well, that's pretty
Hopefully,
fucking convenient. If you got a problem, you just go right down the road and get it fixed, huh?
uh, semi sorta,
Semi sorta.
semi sorta.
You just tell him, hey
Yeah.
buddy, I got a problem and I need some help.
Hey, I'm fucked, and they'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, that's normally I'll text Jason, or else one of their head guys setting up, all the bow techs. His name's Jeff, and I'll text him and be like, hey Jeff, I fucked up, and he'd be like, oh, what now? And
Yeah.
then he'd be like, take care of it. I'll gotta get back out there. And actually, Jason stopped by tonight because I was working, and I had my friend coming in from Texas, and then we had this, and I wanted to move some deer heads around and get this all set up and good and going. And Jason cut me and made me some new arrows from Elite. They actually just came out with their own brand of arrows, and they're actually pretty badass. So I'm gonna have to sight my bow in tomorrow and see how
Nice.
she goes.
Yeah,
So I
because you
got the.
got what? Today's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you got 4 days till you got to start flinging some arrows.
I've been shooting, but now I got these new ones. So I really liked them when I shot them the other day, and now tomorrow I'm gonna probably put 100 plus arrows through every day until Sunday, and hopefully that one connects. But I'm more mainly focusing on the wife, so
Yeah.
hopefully that's and then I
Yeah.
can.
Well, we're rooting for me and CJ are rooting for her too. Like we're gonna be anticipating that picture of her in front of the red barn with her deer. It's gonna happen this year.
She's been in front of it a couple times, but it's going to be your turn soon. So hopefully we get you on a good one.
We're looking forward to it, and it too. Like from the videos, obviously I mean, from the pictures you shared, you let me see what's going on down there with the cameras and stuff. Man, there's a fucking ton of turkeys down there too. Like,
It's
Uh,
insane.
I'm gonna
It-
have to put it on CJ. That's gonna rub it in good if I can have a dead turkey there before he even gets there.
yeah, that's the coolest part about New York too, is that we have that fall season. So it opens the day you get here. So it'd be neat, you get land, I'm gonna pick your ass up, bring you to the house, drop some of your gear,
Yeah.
saddle up. We're gonna, just shoot right down the road, mile down the road to one of my pieces of land and sneak right around one of the bends I know right where they roost, and then hopefully, you can get an arrow in one before hands. We'll show up
Yeah.
at the airport right in the bed of the
Hopefully catch
truck.
them, catch them coming to the roost. I'm looking forward to it. And so what type of turkey do y'all have up there?
It's Eastern,
Eastern, is that only Eastern? Is that all y'all have up there?
all we have here. Yep.
They're probably big though, right?
Yeah, they're huge. Yeah, they're corn fed.
Literally
They're
fed.
on the clover fields though, and alfalfa clover all day, just picking grasshoppers and bugs. That's what you normally see when I send you the videos and pictures on the cameras. All day, every day, there'll be 30, 40, 50 of them. And each, 10 here, 20 here, 15 here, 5 here. You always see it all the time when I send them to you and you see them now. So it's just crazy. They're just all over the place.
Well,
And it
that
was
too. And we touched on the farming part of it, but too, like I don't think people realize. So tell everybody exactly how much acreage you have to keep up with as far as it's all farmland and all that. So how much of that do you take care of?
like leasing, hunting, leasing, farming, um, pretty much everything total, almost like 10,000 acres.
Jesus, that is a shit ton of land.
Yeah, I hunt a lot of pieces of property, and I generally have the ones I focus mainly on that are always like the pieces of property to hunt, and managing them is key. That was like the biggest part for years, is being able to have neighbors that butt up to you that are all on the same page and not shooting the first 2.5-year-old, 3.5-year-old buck that came in. Now these guys are getting to the point they're passing up 4-year-olds that are 140-inch deer. And then, the next year, you never know what their potential is going to be. They can be a 150, 160, 170, depending on their food source and their stress, the winter. There's just so much involved, and you
Yeah.
just don't know. And then you get into those 5.5, 6.5-year-olds that are monsters. And the deer
I
here,
think
they just,
I think that's a challenge everywhere is trying to get, me coming from Texas, obviously I've been in Colorado 2 years. So it's been a big culture shock for me being in Colorado, going from Texas being all all private land. There's very little public land in Texas. So you're either, the only reason where you're hunting is most likely going to be on a lease that you're leasing from somebody. And that's always the biggest thing, is trying to get your neighbors on board with whatever you're doing, because the mentality is, like we would always try to 8 points or better, nothing, unless it's a cola, unless we're calling or something like that. But 8 points or better. We were trying to get 4 or 5-year-old deer, in Central Texas, that's hard to get a 4 or 5-year-old deer because they jump the fence and the neighbor's going to shoot them every time. Uh, so you go through that whole thing in your mind, like you're sitting there in the stand and you got a nice, nice young 10-point, probably a 3-year-old 10-point comes out, and you're like, damn, that's a good looking deer. Should I let him go? Should I shoot him? And in my mind, I instantly want to let him go.
yep.
But then it's like, as soon as he jumps the fence, my neighbor's going to shoot him. So it's just
Here's
so
Doug,
hard to get everybody on the same page. And it's kind of disappointing, when you're watching deer, you see your neighbor posting pictures of them and you're like, damn, if you just let him go a couple more years, he was going to be a stud.
It seems to happen every year. It's just like when we have the opening day of gun season here, we call it the Orange Army, and every fucking woodchuck comes out of the woodworks, and
Yeah.
you go down to after, by 9 a.m. you can drive to like one of the big local gas stations, corner stores in the area. There's a couple towns around here that are profiled for it, and you go there and every goddamn person's there with their 4-pointer, their spike, and their button bucks, and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But that's their, obviously, like, but thankfully they're not hunting next to me, and
It's the
if they
same
were,
here. Well, no, that's the advantage of you having so much land at your disposal. You can protect yourself somewhat, but you can't do it 100%. So that was the big culture shock for me coming here to Colorado, was it's all public land. Like, So you talk about the Orange Army, like I'm bigger, I prefer archery. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm gonna pick up a rifle. Rifle's way easier to fill the freezer than the bow. But I did, during bow season, I seen less hunters, but you don't have to wear orange if you're bow hunting here in Colorado. But muzzleloader season is the same, it overlaps with bow season. So usually you're out there bow hunting, you're competing with muzzleloaders, and they are wearing orange. And if you go to certain areas, it's everywhere you see is just orange. You're looking through your spot and scope, and it's like orange, 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 orange. And just not consider it either. Like, I'm the type of guy, if I come up if I'm going public land and I roll up in there and Brendon's sitting, you're up there in your spot and scope, I see your orange, I'm gonna be like, shit, he beat me here. I'm either gonna go on by and get out of there, I'm gonna go get my truck and find another spot. These people will park right up under, they'll park right up under you and they'll scope right next to you. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows?
The whole common courtesy thing doesn't exist.
Every man for themselves, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't set your 30 pack down because I'll grab it.
Right. So how many stands you got out there on?
My God. You're gonna hit me with that question. I should have wrote that down. Golly, I don't even know.
If you just
plus you just sent
throw
over 100, easily over 100, plus not even including blinds.
Hey, I guess that the good thing is you can't feed there, you can't bait, so at least you're not spending a shit ton of money. Well, you're growing it, all the food you're growing, so
yeah, and that's another hard thing about here. There's so much, I've hunted in Texas so many times, and you can go, they're going to go to the feeder or they're going to go to the water because they have to have it.
Yeah.
Here it's everywhere. So you're honestly, truly, you're hunting the shit out of them. You're not just going to go out and you're going to shoot a good one every single time. And you might not even be able to shoot a bow every single time.
That makes sense. I mean, you really got to pattern their movements, where they're going, where they're coming from, where they're bedding. It's similar to mule deer hunting. Like you got to kind of figure out where they're bedding, because you're not going to, you're only going to catch them, when you're out there glassing in the middle of the day. You just got to look for shade and just look up under the tree, find wherever shade you can find, and you might find one under there. And the hardest part isn't really finding them. It's usually when you find them, they're 1,500 yards out and you're looking at them through a spot and scope. And then you got to stalk your ass over there and get within, 50 yards of them to get a good shot. So that's where the challenge comes in. And the area we're hunting is a burn. It's a, I don't want to say the unit, but it's a burn area. So there's no fucking trees. It's just wide. It's like desert almost out there. But I definitely will say, from the pictures and that I see, there's plenty of cover. Like there's some, beautiful looking areas you got going on out there. Like some of those areas is like, I'm chomping at the bit just to sit in a stand and look.
You're going to love it. That's for sure. Put you over a nice alfalfa field, and even just, it doesn't even matter what you see. Even if the does are piling out and, you don't see a shooter, it's just nice being out there. And just when you come, it'll be like 30s in the morning, crisp 40s, it's a whole different ball game. Like you're finally gonna be able to sit in a tree stand again and not walking 3 miles to chase down a mule now that who knows who else is after,
Right. Yeah. Saturdays, my last hurrah, like Saturdays. So the season ends here, like bow season ends Saturday's the last day. So it's over Sunday, it's actually Saturday night's it. So I'm going to make one last ditch effort. I'm going to go out Friday evening and then Saturday, probably spend the day. And, just like you said, it'll probably be an average of 8 to 10 miles that you cover trying to get on one of these damn things. Then when you get them, you got to get them out of there. So,
I'm looking forward to where you think they're going to be.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to shooting something, pulling up there with the tractor or the side-by-side or something, put it in the back and driving it back to camp.
Oh no, I'm gonna watch you try to drag one of these. The does here, if you shoot a 4 or 5-year-old doe, my gosh, who knows what they're gonna weigh. Sometimes, field dress are over 125, 135 pounds. It's
crazy. That's big
Yeah,
deer.
all my friends from Texas, they come up and they're like, holy shit,
Yeah,
they're shell shocked seeing these deer. But they have to eat here. If they don't eat and they don't get big, they don't get fat, they'll die, they'll freeze to death at
right,
sub-zero temperatures.
right, right.
So
Well, that
you'll see.
too, like coming, like you just said, coming from Texas, I remember we would have on the lease to encourage people to shoot does because, everybody just wants to shoot the big buck. They don't want to do the management part of shoot. You need to keep your doe population in check too. So we would have a pot. Everybody would put in 50, $100, biggest doe. Whoever kills the heaviest doe wins the pot. And I won the pot one year with a 96-pound doe on the hoof. That's to tell you.
Monster.
Huh?
Monster.
Yeah. And then, so just to give everybody a little perspective, score wise and weight wise, first, let's start with score wise. What's the biggest buck that's been taken out there?
So I sent you the one, my neighbor actually killed him. So there's a couple different stories, a couple different deer, of friends getting them, and my property neighbor killed that one that I sent you, the super really tall, crazy looking one that you were like, holy shit. A lot of people at the time were like, holy shit, there's no way that's in New York.
Yeah.
And that was actually prime rut buck right there. And that was like the 3rd of November. That buck scored gross like 223.
Jesus.
And yeah. And then the next day, good family friend of mine, we both hunt the same piece together. And the buck I was watching, I went to go hunt that morning and my phone's ringing and Bob goes, hey, I'm going to go and sit in that ladder stand. And he's an older gentleman, really one of the best guys in the world. And I said, okay, well, just be ready. I said, if you see anything cruising through there, be ready. And he's never killed a big buck in his life ever. He shot in a lot of deer, never really was into it for this, trophy hunting. He was just into it for the sport,
Right.
for the time that he had a chance to get in there and do it. And sure as shit, my phone rings at 7:20 in the morning. And I'm like, oh fuck, he fell out of his stand. I was like, yeah, I was like, you call me again. I'm like, fuck. I was like, I gotta answer this. And I had all sorts of deer in front of me. I had probably 40, 50 deer in front of me in this alfalfa field. I'm like, fuck. So I answer, I'm like, hello. And he goes, I shot a big one. And I'm like, how big? And he goes, well, I don't know. It's bigger than anything I've ever shot. And I'm like, well, that doesn't mean anything. Well, how big? And he goes, I don't know, but it was just really big. I'm like, okay. I was like, Bob, I'm just gonna wait until these deer move off and I'm gonna get down and leave and I'm gonna come get you. And he goes, okay. So we get there and he's shaking. He goes, Brendon, it's so big. And I'm like, are you sure? And he goes, yep. And I actually had a friend of mine visiting from Texas and he was hunting with me. And we're like, oh boy, I wonder how big this is. Cause a lot of deer that he shot before weren't anything, the amount, just he hunted what he wanted to hunt and did what he did. And I'm like, oh boy, I can't wait to see what this is. And that morning, I knew there was a good one in that area, but it wasn't one of the ones that I was targeting. I would have targeted him, but I was really after that freak buck that I was hunting. So I didn't go there. Sure as shit, we start following the blood trail and we look up like 40 yards and all you see is rack. And we're like, holy shit. He ended up being a 176-inch 16-pointer.
Holy
monster.
shit.
That was after deductions. Just an absolute monster. And it's the gentleman I sent you the picture of him holding it on the back of the e-bike cart.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that one at all that I sent you.
I've so many. You've sent me so many that I'm sure it's on there. And I'm going to put some more up after this whenever I post. When I put this out, we'll put some more out. And then we'll also when we get close to the end, you'll share where people can find you at on Instagram or Facebook or whatever they want. And then they can see all the pictures that you've got up on there. But it's unbelievable, the deer that are, again, the whole New York thing. You told me when we first started chatting, it was kind of like a hidden gem. And the more we've talked, the more that, even CJ, my buddy CJ, that's going to be coming from Texas, that's coming up with me. he's chomping at the bit too. Like I'll send him pictures and he's like this morning I sent him that one. I was like, look at the body on this deer. He's like, yeah, I keep trying to look at the body compared to the horns and but he's like, man, he's like, I just can't tell. And I was like, hey, that's why he's like, when we get there, we'll be able to tell. I was like, yeah. I was like, I can tell just looking at the girth on the body of them that they're just thick, just hosses. They're just thick ass deer, you know.
They're old deer. They're smart though. So like I was saying before, it's not just like people expect, like going to Texas, everyone expects to go to an outfitter and they're hunting high fence and it's always, 100% guarantee because they're hunting high fence and, this is a whole different ball game and these deer are so smart and they're just you get an older deer, mainly like the older does is another one that's going to bust you.
Yeah.
That's another big one. When you get a big old smart doe in there and she'll blow the whole field out.
Yeah. Well, the problem is too, is the numbers, like the numbers game. Like you're the best that in my opinion, my best advantages is if that buck's out there, he's all by himself. Cause then I feel like I got him. I was like, he's going to fuck up eventually.
That's your only chance.
But you got to get past the two does that are over here and the two little bucks that are over here and all the other stuff that's going on. It's not just the two eyes. There's usually 15, 16 eyes that are out there. So, and that's,
I send you those videos now or you see the pictures, there'll be 14, 15 does. And you're like, oh, you can't grab your bow. You can't do anything. You literally can't move. And that big old doe, for some reason, they always know. They have that sixth sense. They just know you're there and they'll blow that whole field out so quick.
Yeah.
And those older bucks here, they always circle the wind. They'll check all those does before they even do anything, come in, move in, anything. By the time they make it in, you're gonna get picked right off if they come around you or try to play the wind at all.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard hunting. It's not shooting fish in a barrel at all, honestly. Your scent is key. That's what I was telling you before.
Yeah.
Better make sure all of your laundry, my house, for a month now, we clear out the washer and dryer and everything is cleaned, baking soda and vinegar, rinsed all out. And then now only scent free everything. My wife does the same thing. All of her soap, shampoo, conditioner, everything is scent free, scent killing. And it's, wind is key and your scent's key. If you want to kill a big deer. I planned
on definitely the week before to start, obviously showering and
you're only gonna shower now.
All that's yeah. I'm gonna take a shower before I come there, the first one ever, but I'll probably switch to the scent proof, the scentless shampoos and soaps and stuff. And then of course run my laundry, 2 or 3 different times through there. But it's all a wind game too. Like you can do all that you want, but if the wind's not right, they're gonna get you somehow. So that's that they just sometimes these animals just don't get enough credit to how smart that they actually are.
They're not feeder deer. They're not feeder deer. So
Well, I will say with that said, like talking about obviously coming from Texas, you don't usually like even the big deer, just to say how smart these animals are, like the only reason you usually get a big deer in Texas, he's usually not under the feeder. Usually there's a couple of does under the feeder and he's coming in and he's checking these does out. But most of the time, like my experience, most of the big deer would shift to nights, like they'd feed at night, especially if there's a bright moon. The only time you could catch them fucking up was whenever they were chasing them women.
Yeah, that's the only way I killed that last freak buck was because he fucked up with the doe.
Yeah.
That was it. Other than that, he was completely nocturnal for 2 months.
Yep. It's less, they don't get big because they're stupid.
Yeah. I hunted the shit out of that deer. I passed up a lot of really nice deer just because I was, holding out for him and, finally it paid off. And I had 15 of my buddies. I started calling in a group. I sent in a group. I'm like, I shot the freak. Next thing you know, everyone's showing up at the house. Everyone's drinking. And they're like, oh, you sure you did? I'm like, I dropped them. And they're like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I didn't walk out to him. I didn't, nothing. I just left them there. And I waited until dark. I backed out. I came home because a lot of my friends, they wanted to, they were on the hunt, pretty much on the hunt with me for 2, 3, 4 years. he was a 7-year-old deer when I shot him, and they were for years. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to shoot that deer. I can't wait to shoot that deer. I can wait next year, next year, next year. And it finally came to that point where he was massive. And then I didn't get a chance to get him. And he won that fight. And then the next year I surrounded him. I knew right where he would be. And he did the same exact thing as the year before. He was on his suburb patterns, his mid-fall, and then rut. And then he did the exact same thing the year before. And I posted up, I said, fuck it. I'm like, my wind's not right, but you know what? Fuck it. You got to hunt him. That's the only way I was going to get him. I didn't do that the year before. I didn't get ballsy and go jump in there and try to hunt him because I was like, oh, I'm going to blow him out of there. My wind, my wind, my wind. Not remembering, like, hey, he's in there searching for some pussy.
Yeah.
And his brain fucked up. And I said, fuck it. I'm going to go in there, and where I knew I shouldn't have been any other time. And I went in there and, sure as shit. Next, I look up and here comes this doe trotting right across. I'm like, no fucking way. I look up, here he comes. I was like, oh my God. He stopped. He was like 60 yards. Boom. Dropped him. And I couldn't believe it. I called my wife instantly, and I called her. It was like 4:15 in the afternoon. She's like, why are you calling me? It's like prime time. I'm like, I got him. And she goes, you got him? I'm like, I got him. And she was all freaking out. I'm like, I'm not going to go after. I'm just going to leave him right where he is. I'm going to come home. And I instantly sent the Snapchat to a big, huge hunting group I have, like, 30 plus guys in. Next, one after another, don't go out there, wait for me. Don't go out there, wait for me. Don't go out there, wait for me. And there's 15 of us all piled up at the house.
Nice.
Everyone's having beer, and I'm like, all right, let's go. And, we're out there, and everyone's just shell shocked all at the same time. Everyone's like, holy shit. It was just that is like my key experience ever. So now I'm ready for everyone else to have that feeling where it's like, you know what I mean?
That was
It's
it.
just like,
So that was for you. That was the pinnacle. That was the
that was
most.
it.
Okay. Awesome, man.
Was
Well,
it.
it's also cool that you got to share it with all your, you know what I mean? Like, it's great when you get to do it by yourself, but when you get to share it with all your buddies and they're all just as psyched as you are, just like like they're all showing up, can't wait. It's like, it makes it that much better. Like,
Yeah, I posted a couple videos of us walking up to it, and I had people from all over. A couple guys came out that lived an hour away or more, and they saw my stories of us walking up to them and me grabbing them, and they were like, can I come out and take a look at it? Just because they were like, I followed your stories for the past couple years watching you chase this deer. And then next, they were like, holy shit, they were just as pumped as I was. They were just so, so tickled. And that was a greatest experience I ever had, just everyone else being so positive. It's just one of those, like, I'm trying to relive it. Like, it's nuts. Like, I had to wait for my buddy Jason to get out of work. I had to wait for this guy to get out of work. My buddy Craig and Tyler, they're all like, oh, wait. Because everyone wanted to experience all at once to walk in there and do it. And it was just,
well, and
feels-
then you are reliving it because you're sharing the experience with all your like friends and buddies. Like, you're all like, every time I talk to you, you got a buddy coming out. Yeah, come on out. Like, like me, like we've never met prior to social media, just chatting on social media. And then we've talked like, daily, but you were just so open to come out. And, to be perfectly honest, the first guy, I was just like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. Like, cause in this day and age, people don't do that. Like, people aren't just like, hey, come on out, like, come check it out. Like, I would be that way, but your average, you know what I mean? It's not very common. Like, my first couple of buddies that I was telling about it, they're like, yeah, right, or whatever. Like, they didn't believe
wait
me.
until you shoot one that's gonna cost you $5,000.
Yeah, so, and that's what it's just, people were just so blown away by it. So, I have to ask, like, is there possibilities that there's going to be the Sodoma guided? Are you going to be doing some guided services maybe in the future?
I don't know. In New York State, you got to do courses and classes and stuff like that, which isn't the problem at all. But honestly, it's not about the money. It's when you come, I'm going to be, blown out of the water if you shoot something just because the experience. So it has nothing to do with the money. It's a year-round thing for me, and food plots and stands and blinds and cameras and doing everything, and then helping other friends, and they help me, and watching someone succeed after the long run is worth
Yeah.
way more than money. I don't give a shit about the money.
Very,
It's just,
dude, we're very similar in that regard. Like, uh, it's not about the money. I mean, unfortunately, it's as bad as as it is. I mean, money has kind of ruined the hunting industry because, this time and age, it's about who's got the most money. And, like, I went last year, I went out to, Salt Lake City to the big hunting expo which is they have a badass hunting expo in Salt Lake City. Uh, but just walking by those booths and seeing some of the guides there and looking at some of the prices and the brochures it's like, I mean, dude, some of these sheep hunts are 90 grand, 110 grand. People are paying to go do that. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, don't get me wrong. I guess if I was a billionaire and I was just stupid rich, I still don't know if I would be able to do that. If I'd be able to spend that kind of money, I would just go buy me a place and do it, and have my own place and do just like you're talking about. I would get more fun on bringing people out. Like, hey, come on out here. Yeah, come out here and shoot something.
yeah, and it's always, the biggest thing is a lot of the guys that I do it with, they're always one hand washes the other. So
Yeah.
I have buddies in Texas, they have ranches, if I ever want to go down to their place, I'm always welcome at their place. They ever want to come here, they always come here whenever they want, because we have different stuff here. Just like the duck and goose hunting is unbelievable here, and the salmon run starts like right now. And a lot of my friends are huge fishermen. They don't even care to hunt,
Yeah.
and they like come here and they stay at the farm, and they just like to check everything out. They want to see everything. They want to. It's just a different experience. My friend's own that came 2 weeks ago. Well, thank you, miss. See, look at that.
Yeah, you didn't even have to ask for that one. Mine's upstairs. I'm not even gonna I'm about to have to jump up and go grab one.
I'll be a piss
Yeah,
break for me to do that then.
keep talking about continue.
I'm gonna take a piss and we'll get back to it.
Okay, I'll be right back.
You guys should go take the side by side and go see what the fuck's out in the orchard right now. He's calling me. Yeah. See, the farming never ends. The boss man's calling.
Hey, it's gotta, work.
That's it. No, he's not answering.
He'll call back as soon as you get off. That's all
Oh,
right. Hey,
he started calling me when we were talking. And I'm like, oh, shit.
you,
When we were talking. And I'm like, oh, shit.
if he calls you, just take it. No worries, man. This is like I said, this is as real as it gets here. This isn't a primed and polished podcast. This is just, I like to say, just normal people shooting the shit.
God. Oh, it never ends, my friend.
I hear that. Okay, we were talking about salmon fishing. So you got a lot of people that come out there just to do fishing too, because you got some pretty good fishing.
Yeah, right now, actually last year, my buddy that's here now, he just flew in at 4:30 today. He came last year at the same time, and they didn't believe me. They're like, no shit, you can go in the creek. There's a small creek not too far down the road from my house called Sandy Creek. And when they start running, it's 6 to 10 inches deep of water, and there's 30+ pound kings just zipping through. And we got them down in there, and they're trying to catch these fish and ripping them down, all snapping their lines, and just watching them just get all tangled up and fucking swearing at each other, yelling at each other. It's just a blast. It's a
So
good
is it
time.
fly fishing, spinner rod? So what are you fishing with?
They're using like spinner baits.
Okay.
They weren't really paying attention to the flies right now because they're going upstream to breed. So,
To breed,
but
yeah.
you piss them off, you bring that spinner, like a little Clio by them a couple times. They finally get pissed off and reach over and grab it, and then you better hold the fuck on.
So you got organic, man, you got it all going on up there in New York, like salmon, you go get, I'm sure your freezer stays pretty full.
Yeah, yep. I'm overeating apples, so
Well, I think I seen you put the other night, y'all were making some apples, some moonshine, huh?
yeah, we always do. I got a still, and actually, my brother-in-law wanted to get into it, so I was teaching him how to do it the other night. And actually, I think Saturday or Sunday we're probably gonna cook, and we'll see. Last year I did the apple moonshine. It came out with like 135 proof. So
Ooh, I'll be
mix
staying
that
away.
proof in. Yeah, yeah. I'll save a little jar for you.
I'll be staying away from that.
All that liquid Viagra.
Yeah, we'll call that liquid death. I'll be
Yeah,
down for the count if I start messing with that shit.
it's good
Uh,
for you.
and then what else? So I mean, how many bears? You got a lot of bears up there?
Um, this general area right where I am, there's not a whole lot. But there is bears. You go 2 hours south, one of my best friends, he has a camp, and they're all over the place. They're,
Wow.
turning into a nuisance there. And there's other parks now that they're a nuisance, camping parks that turn into a nuisance, and they're just everywhere now. But you get in those areas, there's some smart big old ones, and they're
Well,
big motherfuckers.
you sent me the video of Pop Tart. I don't know if I want to run across Pop Tart. That's a fucking big ass bear.
Yeah, he's a big motherfucker, that's for sure.
That dude weighs
He's
what,
for a
600
reason.
pounds?
Oh, easily 600 pounds.
Dude,
He-
I'll have to, just for this, whenever I put the content out, and I'll have to put a little snapshot of fucking Pop Tart in there. Dude, I don't know if I've ever seen a bear that big. I live in Colorado and we have bears here, and I see bears pretty regular. But that's a
They're
big
working. They're working for their food where you live. They're not working for shit here. They
man.
roll over to the left. They can nibble here. They roll over to the right. They nibble there.
I actually had one. So I don't know if I told you this the other day. I was down there going to help. I was helping Luke do a podcast, and he had Alex Nestor on, and he had a tattoo guy on there. And then I was waiting on them to get back, and I'm just sitting in a studio in there, and I had the door open to the studio, and Luke's got a lot of bears hanging. He's bad about not putting his trash cans up, so he's got a lot of them that hang around his house. And I left the door open.
If he'd stop fucking puking outside by him, the fucking bears wouldn't come in there.
And I'm sitting in a chair, just kind of leaning back like this, and I got my phone in front of me, and I'm thumbing through my phone, and I heard the gravel of the door, and I turned and look, and he's 2 paws in the door. He's coming in the studio, and I was like, he was probably 150 pounds, 200 pounds, wasn't very big, but I was like, get out of here, and he just kind of looks at me like, what? And so I stand up and I'm like, get out of here, and he backs up, but he's actually been debating on shooting one because he's got a bear tag for the unit. And he called he called the DOW the other day just to ask if he could, and all that. And the only reason I think he hasn't is because they're probably, I think he's got 2 acres. I'm on 2 acres. Like these are like 2, 3, 4, 5 acre plots around here, which is just right to stay away from your neighbors. But if you shoot a bear, it's going in your neighbor's yard. Like you're going to have to go get it out of the neighbor's yard. Like it's very unlikely that it's going to drop right where it's at. And and obviously he would be doing it with his bow. Hell, he's probably down there he's probably getting ready to head out and go. We've been trying to call elk every evening. We've been going over to he's got a little private hole.
Is there anything talking there or no?
No, we've got the very first time I went out there with him, we got a bugle back. Nothing came in. And then not yesterday, because yesterday him and Josh Walker went down there. Nothing. But the day before that, we got one faint bugle, way off bugle. And we got the smell, you got that musky, elky smell like that. We could smell that. So we started getting excited, but it didn't, it never panned out. So he's got 4 days left. So I'm sure he's probably getting ready to head down there right now and try to get that done. But he's got a couple other things going on. So I think he's got an rifle antelope tag he's gonna do. So he'll probably fill that for sure. But and then and for me, that's it. I may do some OTC, like I don't know, I may do an over-the-counter elk. I haven't pulled that yet. But I'm not going to do anything till after I get back from coming out there. Honestly, that's my biggest. I'm just more psyched about going out there than anything here. If I can get a mule deer this weekend, that'd be awesome. But if not, it won't be the end of the world.
In here, you can do get your archery buck tag, and then you get your gun buck tag. So you can harvest one with the bow, and then November 18th, you can harvest one with the gun. And now New York State changed the law that I think don't quote me, if there's a late season now that's December 26th to January 1st, if you didn't fill either of your buck tags, you can fill both of those tags during that late season. And by then, they're herded back up. Everything's done. It's colder than fuck. And they're piled together. You can go to these fields in my area that I have that you can, on a crisp fucking cold as fuck night, cut cornfield, there'd be 50 to 100 deer on that field, and you don't know what giant's going to be out there walking around through them. So that's pretty much a lot of those areas. That late season really helped out to tag out on something, but you never know. So then if something doesn't happen when you first come, maybe you get a little wild hair up your asshole and you want to come out for gun season too,
Yeah.
it's a little bit easier with the gun.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what I'll always say. It's easier to fill if I just need to fill the freezer, the gun's easier. But my passion's archery. Like, I mean, I'm sure you can relate. Like, I think once you actually start to kill, you start getting animals with the bow. It's so hard I mean, for me, it's the challenge. I think honestly that for me, that's what makes it so, is because, not only is getting the deer in the right position, but you got to come to full draw. You got to become full draw. There's so many things you got to do for that deer not to see you. And most of the time you're going to be within 40, 50 yards. Like you want to be within 40, 50 yards. Now,
for me, like 10 yards. I don't want to go that far.
What's yours?
Hopefully they're 10 yards, because I don't want to shoot much farther.
I'm right now out here, like mine's 70. Like 70's that's my window. If I can get a mule deer within 70, I'm like, I'm sending it.
By the time you get up to him, you're 2 miles in, you're fucking sweating like a son of a bitch, your heart rate's all the way up, and you're just crazy. You're like, fuck, you pull that bow back, and people don't realize how much goes into it. Calming yourself down, but the last couple yards, 10 minutes of walking, you just got to control that breathing and keep going. You're like, oh god, like
Yeah.
especially when you know he's there, you know, if you know he's still laying down or, you know, you got eyes on him, you're like, oh God, I got to control myself. It's just like when a big one comes out and you know he's walking across the field here. I'm sitting there, I'm like, fuck. You know,
Yep.
my one knee start jerking, my left knee will start going, my hands are going. I'm like, oh God. So I'll clip my release and just keep a little tension on it so I can like start breathing, relax. I'm like, I'm gonna fuck this up. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fuck this up.
Dude, isn't it
And I
crazy how
fucked it up.
fast? Isn't it
What's
crazy how
that?
fast the mind just goes to that? Like, oh, I'm gonna fuck it up. I'm gonna fuck it up. I'm gonna fuck it up. Like,
The best ones when they just pop out, you're like, oh fuck, you know, they're right there.
yeah,
When you can watch them come in every fucking time, you're like, oh God, oh
I don't
God.
know, dude. I almost like, yeah. Sometimes I think it's better when they just show up because I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have
10 times
time.
better.
I don't have time for the when you see them 100 yards and they're slowly coming, they're coming. The fucking tension's building, the heart rate's starting to get up, and then they're okay. They're 50 yards, they're 40. Holy shit, you know all that thinking. But when you look up and he's 40 yards, it's just like, oh shit, you got to kind of react fast. Everything happens so fast. Then
Yep.
after you see that arrow hit and it's a perfect hit, you know, I mean, you know, you've seen it. You're like, then then you're like fucking shaking, like, holy shit, did that just happen?
Oh yeah. Oh God, I shot him in the gut. Fuck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's what I tell me and CJ always joke and say, if you could bottle that shit up, if you could bottle that feeling up that you have in that moment and sell it in a drink, you'd be you couldn't keep them in stock. People would be buying the shit out.
Yeah, then I'd have a problem.
Right. So I meant to ask you when we were talking about the freak buck, did you shoot him with the slug gun?
I did. I shot him with the muzzleloader. Yep. That was
Okay.
that late season. Yep. Shot him with the slug gun. Actually, no, I shot him with the muzzleloader. Let's see. This buck, I shot him with the slug with a 20 gauge. I shoot the Savage Model 220, 20
Yeah.
gauge bolt action. Unbelievable gun. Unbelievable slug gun. The rest of the other ones were with bow. So
I have yet to
he
get
was
into.
king of the orchard. He's only a 7 point, but he was big old brute. He was just
Dude,
a king.
that's a wild looking how that one side is so tall and the other side. I mean,
His G2s is, you know, you put four fingers together. That's how thick that G2 is.
we had that one, you know, the picture we were sharing today, me and you and CJ, that you were saying the wife's after. Ooh, that dude's got some tines on him.
Oh yeah, that 8 point from this morning, right?
Holy
I was
shit.
laughing at him this morning and he was just feeding across the field and I was like, holy shit. And I watched him. I was waiting for him to walk by that camera and I called you, remember? And I was like
Yeah.
waiting.
Yeah. You video call me and I'm driving and I'm trying to figure out how to turn all my shit on while I'm driving. And then when the video came on, I could actually see him. But then when I seen him in the camera, it's like, because there's a couple he's right up on the camera and you can see, dude, those tines are 12, easily 12 inches.
Oh yeah, all of them. And he's so symmetrical too. So gonna be I don't know. That's gonna be a hard one for me to pass. There's a buck I'm after.
Well, you got
And
to pass because the wife wants it. You can't shoot her deer, dude.
oh shit, she passed up a deer like that last year. She knew what she was after. So you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
It's hard to hunt mornings right now because of that same thing. They're still in the pattern of what they're doing, and where my stand locations are right now, the way the wind is, it'd have to be a specific wind to even closely get around to be able for them to walk by me.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just, you know, open a day depending on the wind for myself, at least not for my buddies that are going to be here and what they're doing, but for myself, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, it's tough. And those are older deer. So you fuck it up once,
Oh
they're
yeah, you don't
gone.
get to see. Usually, you don't.
They're
Well,
gone.
the only way you're going to get to see them again is full out rut if there's a hot doe, because they. I don't know about. I'm speaking from a Texas perspective, but I'm sure most all of them are the same. They completely lose their brain. Like they don't like. There is no brain when that happens. Like they're just running out in the open and wherever that doe goes, they're going. They're not letting it out of their sight. They're staying right on it. Uh, but I don't know. That's one of the to me. That's one of the coolest. I mean, probably one of my favorite times to hunt is when rut's going on because you see them nose down coming in and they're just coming. You know, I mean, it's hard to get a shot on them because they're not stopping. You can grunt at them, you can whistle at them, they ain't stopping for nothing unless that doe stops. But how did they respond out there to rattle? Like, have you ever tried rattling up any? Do they respond to rattling?
Or have I ever rattled in a giant? No,
No.
because they're a little more in the areas that I was hunting. Any giant buck that was out in the field that I even tried to throw rattling or calling at, you already know that that big buck's going to go and circle all the way around you.
Yep.
If he can't visualize anything, you're pretty much putting yourself in the grave, because he's smart. He's all the way around. He's going to try to wind you. He's going to catch wind. And even if he cuts through the open field, he's still going to come all the way around and still try to get that wind. And at that point, he's going to hang up, always like that 90 yards, 80, 95, 100 yards, right in that area every time. So, but I've had a lot of luck with using decoys, putting like 130-inch buck out there. And sometimes I've snapped off, just used only one side where they had a large side, and I take off one side, and I've done, aggressive snort wheezing, calling at them. And I've had bucks come boom right across the field. But then also you get the younger 2.5, 3.5-year-old that comes in, he fist fucks your decoy and then blows every deer out of the field when the thing goes flying all over, So it's just damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And a lot of people watch on TV the success of using these decoys and calling and stuff like that. They're one in every couple thousand hunters that are videotaping the same thing, that they had the perfect situation, perfect wind, perfect time, perfect everything, where it worked. It's going to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's a problem with the TV thing, though. Obviously, I come from not a hunting TV background, but I come from a little bit of a TV background. I've worked on some TV stuff, and
really,
there's a lot of the TV stuff that's not so real. So when you're watching those hunting shows, like, you're seeing the perfect hunt. They're not showing you the 25 other hunts that they did before they got the opportunity that they got. Like we have a saying here, like me and Chris, one of the guys I go out with a lot, we have a saying when it comes to
7 p.m. my old man's going by in the dark on a tractor. I'm in the shit. I'm in the shit.
7 p.m. So it's dark.
All right, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I keep hearing the tractor going behind the house, and I'm like, oh fuck, this isn't gonna be good. He's gonna come in here. He's gonna be like, what the fuck?
What are you doing? What the fuck's a podcast? What do you mean you're on a podcast? I don't give a fuck about a podcast. Get your ass out here and get to work.
Oh yeah, that's what it's gonna be. I know it's exactly what's gonna happen.
So you telling me you snuck off the podcast?
I did.
Oh man, that's hilarious. But I mean, cut it a little short. We can cut a little short. I understand you're a busy man. Fuck, dude. I mean, I don't know when you're not moving, doing something.
7.
But before we cut it, obviously, I would like to, where do people, if they want to research a little bit about the farm, if they want on social media, how do they find you on Instagram or Facebook or?
Pretty much now, like I don't have a website for the farm or anything like that, but I post stories all the time, doing shit, and kind of let people know what's going on. I posted deer and farming, picking apples, driving tractor, drinking beer, normal life stuff, and just pretty much my Instagram, my Facebook, and I'm sure when you post this, you're gonna probably tag me right in that.
Yeah, I'll tag you. I'll definitely tag you. I usually post mostly on Instagram, but I have them linked, so it'll post. If I post on Instagram, it posts on Facebook automatically. For me, Instagram's more. I use Instagram more than Facebook.
Your social platform.
Yeah. So, but then I'll also put, so you can share with your friends if they want to watch this and see, support or whatever. We'll put it. It'll be on YouTube, Spotify, Podbean. Like it'll be on a couple different platforms. They can, if they want to watch if they want to watch our fucking ugly mugs, they can go on YouTube and actually watch the video portion of it. But if like Spotify or
look at that,
man, dude.
Hello.
No, come on.
Hello,
Everyone.
We're just working on the top. Great. I actually just moved box truck, and our friend Nate moved some tractors for his dad, so we're all set to start picking in the morning.
Is he in trouble? Is Brendan in trouble?
No, he's not, because Nate and I did the work, so we're all set.
Oh, dude,
You
you.
drove the box.
I drove the box truck.
Well, I'm looking forward to coming out there and meeting you in, about 3 weeks. So it's going to be a good time.
I think it will be for sure.
So you're not in trouble. She covered your ass, dude. You got a good one there.
Something's fucking broken, guarantee it.
So you're telling me tomorrow I'm going to see another video of bolts and you working on something?
And it really doesn't, it's always fucking something. I swear to God, it always is. It's like,
Yeah.
fuck.
Yeah, I can imagine, dude. Like I said, farm, I've told you this several times. I'm like, you're living the dream. Like I don't know how many times I've told you that, but with that said, living the dream comes with a lot of work. It's not like, I'm sure there's some days.
All my buddies have the same, profession. Like one of my good friends he's a huge hunter, great guy. He's an electrician. He runs the same shit. It's always fucking something. It's just one of those things when you do it on your own, or you do it yourself, you're a business owner and you maintain it and do it. It just never ends. You know how it is. It's just like always something.
Yep. I mean, I'm in the,
and I've sent you pictures of him. His name's Kyle. And I've sent you pictures. He shot that buck he named Thor. And, that super tall, really big, heavy one. He scored, oh gosh, 165 plus, or more. I can't remember honestly what the hell it scored, but he was in front of the barn last year, and that deer, he texted me in the morning and he goes, "Hey, Thor was at the scrape in front of he saddle hunts now. He's a unbelievable hunter." And I was like, "Dude, your wind is perfect. You need to go get your ass, like, leave work right now." And he owns a big electrical company here. I said, "Get your ass like get your client. He's going to be there. Your wind's good. Everything's good. He's going to hit that scrape again. This is prime rut." And he goes, "You think?" I'm like, "Yeah, get your ass in there." Next thing you know, 4:15, he goes, "I smoked him." And he sends me a picture. Before he even texted me that, I get a picture of at 6:15 in the morning, Thor scraping the scrape and licking the branch. And then it was like 4:13 p.m. He's sitting there doing the same thing, and I could see Kyle in the background.
Oh,
and I'm like, "No
that's fucking
fucking way." No, I was like, "No fucking way." He goes, "Yep, smoked him." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And he goes, I was like, "All right, I'm getting down." I was like, "I don't even give a shit." I was like, "I got a bad wind anyways." I was debating on leaving. I was like, "The wind changed up." And he goes, "No, you're good. You're good. You're good." And I'm like, "No, I'm going home. I'm going to get changed and clean up, and I'll meet you." And he goes, he's done. He's done. And we get there, and he didn't realize how big this buck was. It was the first time seeing him in person, had him on camera, and camera doesn't do justice.
Right.
And I say this to you all the time. I send you these pictures of these deer, and you're like, "Oh man, that's a good deer. Maybe he's like a 130. Their bodies, it just, they just, oh
Yeah,
God."
because
You're
they're,
like,
these deer are what, 300 pounds? Some of these big bucks are
I've
300.
seen guys shoot deer that you're like, "What the fuck?" Like, is that from Saskatchewan? Like these Canadian deer, these guys are, Eddie last year, opening day, he shot a buck and we put him up on the scale. After it was field dress, it was 236 pounds.
Jesus Christ.
It's just one of those deer. You're like, "Holy fuck." You walk up to it, and the neck is like a 5-gallon bucket. But like I was saying, Kyle's like, "Man, he's really big. He's bigger than he looks." And it's dark now. We're both headlamps on, just him and I, his little private spot. And I'm the only other person that knows this piece that he has. And it's just always been one of his pieces. And next thing you know, we look up, and I'm like, "Holy shit." And this deer is 40 yards away from us, laying in the thicket. And we're like, both like, "Holy shit." And we get up to him. We're like, "Oh my God." And you can't even put your hands around him. He's so wide and so big and so heavy. We tried to get him out of there. We couldn't even get out of there with the e-bike. So we had to go back to the house, get the wheeler, try to get him on the wheeler. just because he's such a big deer, and finally hung him up in the shop, and we're both like, holy shit. And he looks like nothing like he did in the pictures. It's like one of those deer, you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's all. And I can tell, like even like looking at all the deer in the background that you have there, the deer that you sent me pictures of, the good ones that I see on the cameras, it does seem like they carry some pretty good mass, like there's really good mass to the horns up there.
It's They do. It's just they're all different in every way. So I'm always got that weird freak genetic that I like the pedestal buck right here. He was so old. When I killed him, I posted him, and the game wardens and the biologist came to my farm after I killed him and posted it because he was still in velvet. And I shot him in end of November, and he ended up being jawbone related. He was like almost 11 and a half years old.
Damn.
11 years old.
That is-
Yep. And I shot his son, which is the freak that I have full body mounted.
Yeah.
That I shot you.
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. You sent me actually a video of you in front of it. That one night I was at Luke's and I sent you the video of the podcast.
Yep.
And you sent me the video of you in front of that. I've showed that to a couple people too. That's a badass mount.
Yeah, that was the deer. He was over 200 inches the year before, 200 plus, non-typical, obviously, because he had shit all over the place, just mass. His base is 13 and a half inches around. And, that was this buck up here's son. And that was when I hunted and lost him for a year, didn't know where he was. And he completely lost probably like 40 inches. But I hunted him. I wanted to kill him. And he has two of his own sons that are back. I sent you a picture this morning while you saw on the camera.
Yeah, the one's real tall on the one side, and he's kind of weird looking.
Tall.
Yeah.
His G3 is probably like 16 inches long, and the rest of them are probably 11 inches long. And he's got that little cluster just like these two do. And then the other one, he's got the super shoot back. And then he's got the tall one. I just like the freak genetics. And now if I kill one of them, it's a third generation deer I killed. And but fuck,
so you got to get two more generations, and then you got fourth generation farmer, four generations of deer.
We'll see. Hopefully, that's the biggest thing. I can't wait for y'all to come and hopefully get you in the stand. I get to sit with you because all of my setups are all doubles plus the blinds, and I think it's going to be cool. It's just
get the camera. It's definitely going to be. It's going to be a good time regardless of what happens. We're going to have a blast. We're looking forward to it. I have no doubt there's going to be opportunities for sure, just from the pictures and all that. We're pumped right now. I'm just trying to maintain that because I'm like, I could go get to the airport right now. Like I'm ready.
Hey, if you want to come, you can come before CJ. Just don't tell him.
Well, he's CJ. Like I said, you haven't actually. We just kind of brought him into the conversation, but CJ's a good dude. Like me and him go way back. He's a very sound hunter, very, he's spent a lot of time in the woods. He's very experienced. But he's also he's just a good dude. I usually don't, I try to surround myself with good people. I don't need a whole bunch of deadheads around me. I try to keep a pretty good group of people around me. I feel like the better people you surround yourself with, the more success you're going to have in life. Or
you surround yourself about the ones that make you feel better about yourself.
Hey, that's a good, well, you got to have both. You have two groups, and then you have your build you up group.
Nate.
What's that?
Hey, Nate.
Yeah.
Speaking of out of town guys that are coming to hunt.
Hey.
What's up, Nate?
Hey, what's happening?
You're going to show them how we do it in Texas, right?
I'm going to try to. I didn't know they had deer in New York, but
yeah. Hey, you remember the old Pace pecani sauce commercial? New York City, get a road.
New York City.
Get out of here in New York City salsa.
All right, man. Well, I'm depending on you. You're representing Texas, so take care of us.
I'll try. Well, hopefully I have a big red barn pick this week.
Hey, last year we got in the blind, and you want to tell them what happened?
Oh, with
the big one.
That was 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years.
So there was a big one coming in, and I was sitting there, and he was coming in this way, and right as I went to release, this doe came out of my blind spot and got right in front of him, and I guess I like darted at her and hit the release. She squatted, he jumped, and my arrow went right between both of them.
Well, this is his literally first sit ever bow hunting.
Yeah.
And 150 plus inch 10-pointer comes in.
You
And I'm
can't-
like, looking up, I'm like, Nate,
know,
don't fuck this up. And he goes,
Shake
I'm
it.
trying not to fuck it up. And he's sitting there in the blind, and his hand, he's all set up on the release. And I'm like, Nate, you're good, relax. He goes, I'm trying. He's sitting there shaking.
Worst part that was pissing me off was I went to get something. He goes, "Stop moving," and I'm bent over. I'm bent over like in the blind. He goes, "Stop." Okay, move slow. And I move an inch. Stop fucking moving. I'm like, Brendon, my back is burning. I've got to do something.
And then he looks up, was this buck sitting there, he goes, holy fuck. It was just a giant. It was a 150, 160 10-pointer. And he's like, I was like, you know what, Nate? It's actually kind of a good thing you didn't kill him. He goes, fuck you. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I was like,
Yeah,
well,
then
dude,
you
you
run.
killed that for your first deer. I was like, and then I get to kill him because you leave tomorrow. And he
Yeah.
goes, fucking piece of shit.
Well,
Wow.
I've definitely been caught with my pants down before too, where you get caught in an awkward position and you're in the stare down and you're like, I can't move, I can't move, I can't move.
He was
Everybody's
reaching for his
shaking.
knee.
I don't remember what I was reading for, but I couldn't move. And we were just locked eyes.
So we're like, oh shit.
He's probably reaching for another beer.
21 yards away, there's a 150 plus sitting there staring at you. You're like,
Yeah.
I literally looked up because I'm looking at him. We're both laughing, fucking around the blind, didn't give a rat's ass about
'Cause it was
nothing.
still kind of early.
It was early. It was super early.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I'm like, oh fuck, Nate,
Don't
don't
move.
move. And he's like,
Over.
crouched down, bent over. He goes, my back.
My back's hurting.
His legs are twitching. He finally gets sitting. He's got his release on. The bucket like turns around. He like feeding around. There's other deer. I'm like, you can't draw back yet. There's too many deer. Next, he's just fucking shaking. I'm like, stop fucking moving. He goes, I'm trying. And then his legs start, his hand stops moving. His knee starts jerking. I'm like, stop moving. We're sitting there. I'm trying not to laugh. And I got the camera going. And then I'm like, fuck, like this isn't gonna happen. I was like, there's no way this is gonna happen.
Big mistake.
Big mistake.
It's incredible what your body does when you get in those when you lose that, when you're not shaking and you're not excited, you need to quit doing it because
Oh yeah.
I can see, I'm not even gonna lie, like I've been in a stand before and have does come out and I start getting all excited, like, oh, here we go. And then I'll kind of calm myself down. And then here comes the buck, and here it all goes again. You start getting all excited again, shaking. But I've literally been
I'm starting shaking.
I've actually been able to, and I hate to admit this, but I'm going to admit it on here in front of whoever the fuck listens to this. But I've gotten in a situation before and couldn't draw my bow back. I was so excited that I could not fucking draw my bow back. It was like 150 pound, it's 70-pound draw, but it felt like it was 200 pounds. I couldn't pull the shit back because I was just so excited. And then I've got busted too.
That's called age.
That too. Well, this was before the age. I was back in the youth.
All right.
But
Nice
I've
meeting you.
I also got busted before half in my draw. And he looked back up and I try to stop, and then you're like, fuck, you're shaking, waiting. And then I just had to let it down because I didn't have anything left. And then he fucking bust me and run off.
Better than drawing your bow back without an arrow in it.
Yeah, that would suck.
And that I've done that. So
That's a pretty hard one to solve when you're in the middle of it.
I'm glad no one was there.
Well,
it
everybody knows.
was one of those things I'm like, oh shit, I don't have heroin. And I just climbed up and I'm like, oh, all ready to go, like grab my phone. At the time I'm tendering away. I'm like, yep, that's a good one. Yep. Oh shit, she's big. Oh, yeah. But next thing you know, I'm like, oh shit, there's a big shooter. No arrow.
Oh my gosh, that would be my luck. I haven't done that yet. Like I haven't done it, but I know somebody that went with and forgot the release, like went out and got out there and realized, oh shit, I didn't bring my release. And
Yeah, we got a group of guys, and hopefully I'll shoot down to Texas this December or so and go check out the new piece and find out what the hell's going on down there. You never know what you're gonna find on 800 acres of untouched land.
Yeah, especially how many years since it's been touched?
10 years.
Oh yeah, dude, there's some big deer laying around in there because they're even if they're hunting the properties around it, they know where they're safe. Like they know where they can go.
Marshall.
Okay.
Write that down and start mapping everything.
Marshall. We'll we'll definitely start trying to lock down a day because I have a couple of guys that are in Texas that would be down. And then maybe I can get Luke.
Yeah, just get some guys that that have never done anything like that before down there. Guys, never pig hunted. There's a shitload of pigs there, so we know that, and just something different.
Well, yeah, Texas are fucking plenty of pigs. There's the pigs are like turkey where you're at.
There's a shitload of turkey here. They're a goddamn nuisance.
I'm
The
sure
other morning, I was trying to sneak in on the right wind just to hang a stand, last minute stand, and I'm like, oh man, I got a perfect north wind. Nothing's gonna know I'm there. I'm in and out. I already had my fucking ladder steps all put in. I just had to put the lock on, and I always hang 2 lock-ons in each tree. And I get in there, I'm like cranking it in. I'm like, what the fuck? It was the turkeys. They're roosted next to me. I'm like, son of a bitch. And there's like 20 of them. So then the whole woods lights up, and I'm like, God, well, there goes that, ninja stealthy getting in there. Nothing's gonna know I'm there. It's early. It was the only time I had the chance, to hang a stand. Something stupid. Why am I in there that early in the morning hanging a fucking tree stand? But I had no choice. I had, work.
Yeah.
7
Well,
a.m.
you got to
till
do it.
dark.
You got to do it when you can do it. Like when there's no perfect science to it. It's just when sometimes it's just when you got time, you got time. You just do it.
Yeah. And that's, a lot of my buddies that are, I've learned from and hunted with and learned from them. And they're the same way. When they get an opportunity to get away from their wife, their kids, their work, their schedules, they're doing shit where everyone else is like, why the fuck you doing that? And they're doing on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursday nights, Friday nights. They're not weekend warriors. They're doing it just like I am every single day they possibly can to get everything ready to go because there's so much to do. And I feel like I've been doing this. Well, I have been doing this for months, and I'm still behind.
Right.
You just bought me some blinds. You sent some blinds up to pop up and put up and brush in, and I actually got those last night. And thank you again, appreciate it. And stuff like that. We're gonna put those in places that I'm like, wow, we can't hunt this until this time or this wind, or there's no good trees in this area. So now I'm gonna go in there and put another blind, and I already have 15 blinds out.
Yeah.
And CJ, you sent me a couple. He sent a couple, right?
Yeah. I think his were coming maybe Monday or Tuesday. I think's what it looked like on the text where he sent, but he's got a couple coming too. I think he said a couple different.
Yeah, and I get those out. I have 9 more blinds outside I got to go put out, and it's just finding time to do stuff. And I already have all my primary setups, and I focus on those because I know those are keen.
Yeah.
But now I your blinds and his blinds and my
well,
other.
you can also too, like, I mean, when we get there, like, obviously if you don't have to put everything out, we can help too. Like, I mean, because some of the things you're doing now is not only for this season, these are for next season and the season after. And like these are future.
I get them out though, there's no scent there. They start recognizing it, they get used to it. And you're not flushing them out of there, you're not getting them worried. And to be honest with you, a lot of the deer here, they're used to we box out the orchards. We put, thousands of apple bins out there, and they just think it's another apple bin.
Yeah.
So they walk right by them and don't even pay attention to it at all. And it's completely fine. And a lot of people are like, oh, you got to brush it in. You got to brush it in. No, you don't.
Yeah.
At least you don't, because they think it's another apple bin or a
Right.
stack of bins or something like that, So I put out the one you sent yesterday. I put it out. 50 minutes later, I had probably 30 deer walk by it.
Yeah.
Did they look at it on camera? Oh, fuck yeah, they looked right at it. And then they didn't really have much of human scent on it, so they weren't too weary, and they just kept going about their thing. So
I actually, it took me a while to get used to it, but the more that I hunt those little ground tents, I like them because you can just pop, a
Yeah.
little bit of window in front of you. You can leave everything black behind you. And you can get away with a lot of shit in one of those tents.
They're
Like,
so convenient.
yeah, like you were just talking about Nate. If he was doing all that moving in one of those tents, they would have never seen him. You know what I mean? Most of the time you can get away with a lot, and it also helps contain your scent a little bit. It kind of
Oh,
keeps it in the bubble. You know what I'm saying? So when you're in a tree, you're up there in the open. I prefer tree. Like I just love hunting a tree stand for some reason. I don't know why, but the more that I've hunted those tents, the more that I like the forgiveness, the movement you can get away with, you can sit there scrolling on your phone if you're bored, you can get away with a lot of shit. You can't get away with that in a tree because I've been busted before. I've had my phone out before bored because I wasn't seeing nothing and looking at something, and just like you said, there he is, look up and he's fucking 20 yards looking at you like, what are you
Like,
doing?
oh shit.
You're
Yeah,
like, fuck.
exactly.
They're like fucking ninjas, man.
Yeah.
But hell, dude, we done wrapped off an hour and a half. See, you were worried about. I told you it goes quick once you get going. It's just like having a conversation.
Yeah, just a little liquid courage, a couple good fervor and
Yeah,
all right.
but I definitely really, really, really appreciate you taking the time to get on here.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to get out there and spend some time, have a little fun, getting some trees.
You come for 5 days, right?
We're flying on a Monday and we leave on a Saturday. So yeah, 5 days.
Yep. Okay, perfect.
Four to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 full days of hunting. And then it sounds like I might be able to squeeze in
The biggest plan is the first night you get here, if you can shoot both, that'd be ideal.
yeah.
And then we're gonna, watch CJ go and go and go.
Nah, CJ he might surprise us. CJ's lucky sometimes too. So
Honestly, you never know when you're coming. This is going to be prime pre-rut, and fuck, you don't see deer. I have deer on camera that I'd see in June that I haven't seen until November 1st. You just never know.
yeah.
You don't know. You
You
don't
got a
know.
good processor in the area, meat processor.
Yeah, me.
Do you do it all yourself?
Do it all myself.
Damn.
Everything.
Because I'll definitely want to, and I don't mind taking it to somewhere close if there's somebody around and getting it done. That way they can ship it.
Once I've learned to do it myself, and I got super OCD about it, everything, skinless and just done right, no hair, everything's done. I grind it 2-3 times depending on what I'm doing with it, make my own sausage, do everything. I just, do it myself now and start teaching all my buddies. Now all my buddies, when they do it, I've gotten to the point where I've taught them enough now where they can start doing it themselves, but we all do it at my shop. I got a big shop and got all, I got the big coolers and walk-in coolers and everything else. So, and it's not a business at all. It all means it all. They come there and I teach them and they've learned how to do it. And a lot of them know how to do it. And now it's just, it's an excuse that, hey, I shot a deer. Now I'm going to go to Sodoma's barn and now I'm going to drink beer and we're going to cut up my deer. And, oh, now I got to go back tomorrow because I got to drink more beer and package it. Sorry, one of those things with the wife and kids and stuff. It's part of hunting season. It's your time. So most of my buddies, that are working their asses off all year, they take all their vacation during hunting season. So that's
I can
they for the first night on vacation, they got 2 weeks of fuck off time. You know what I mean? So,
I can relate. I mean, I kind of stockpile a lot of my time for hunting season too.
Yeah.
Until I guess one day that I can retire, which I don't even know if that's ever going to be a thing, but maybe, who knows, maybe one day.
You buy that Powerball ticket, baby.
I always say that, like, I'm like, when I win the lottery, but I'm like, well, fuck, I got to play the lottery before I can win the lottery. Cause I never even know when the drawing is or when. I have a couple of buddies that'll be like, hey, did you buy it's $1 billion or some shit like that. I'm like, no, but I think I'm going to go buy one. So I may have to play it more, but But all right, man. Well, let me let you get back to work and let's wrap this thing up. And like I said, let's one last cheers until I can get there and we can get some shit done.
Sounds good, brother.
But we're
Well,
looking forward to
I'll be
it. And
hearing from
go ahead.
I'm sure I'll be hearing from you in the morning about the cameras.
Yeah.
You'll see all the deer action going.
Oh, you're gonna be
So
hearing from me every day until I get there, and then probably every day after that. Now, I think this may end up being it feels like it's gonna be a long-term relationship. So you know, I don't put out on the first date, by the way, either. So you're gonna have to work for
yep, they all say that.
it. All right, man. Well,
All right, brother.
appreciate you getting on here, and we'll be hollering at you later, man. Have a good night.
All right, man, you too.
All right.
Take care.